Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. To everyone who's out there who's gonna give me an opportunity, I want to talk about taking ourselves very seriously. It's just been something that's been in my heart, in my mind, with regards to the issues of purpose and destiny and success. I do feel, man, that sometimes there is a certain level of being laissez-faire and being too casual, such that you end up missing the complete point of what it will truly mean to be successful. One of the most powerful verses in the Bible for me when it comes to this issue is, thank you, Mfundis, is to look into the issue of how Paul addresses Timothy. And he says to him, lead by example. He says, do not let anyone look down upon you because you are young, but be an example in your faith, in your speech, in your love, in your conduct, and that for me kind of sums up the life that we should be living. Yes, there should be moments of fun and enjoyment. That should be part of what we do. But I do feel, for the most part, that there is a certain level of being laissez-faire and casual that makes us a casualty to life, and we don't get to hit the ground running. We don't become successful, mainly because of the fact that we are too casual. We are not pressing in as we should. One of the other scriptures that really touched me was in the book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 7. And it was Deborah speaking to herself. Deborah was a prophetess. Deborah was a judge in the Bible. And she says, life in the villages ceased. It ended in Israel until I, Deborah, arose. In other words, she says that what brought change to my life, what brought change to Israel, what brought change to villages was me arising. It was me taking on the duty of actually doing something, taking myself seriously and understanding my position in life. I think if there's something that I think a lot of us are not getting right, it's in the matter of understanding that Jesus died for all of us, man. Jesus died for all of us. From the least to the most, the greatest, from the richest to the poorest, he died for all of us. And as a result of that, it doesn't matter where you are. The key is, are you fulfilling your assignment? Are you doing what God has called you to do? Are you in your calling? Are you in your line? Are you in the place where you are supposed to be? Because if Deborah herself did not arise, then this village was going to continue to stay in a place of inactivity, of lack of growth. Tim's story says there is somebody who is waiting for you on the other side of your assignment, on the other side of your calling. And I think for a lot of us, sometimes we do forget that this is not just about us. This is not just about my future and how I want things done. And it's greater than you. You being resilient, you being a sterling leader, you being a person that leads by example. It's not just about you. It's about villages. It's about nations. It's about changes. It's about when you step up, it's about generations to come. It's not just about you. So I think one of the things that concerns me sometimes with our generation is not realizing the seriousness of us fulfilling our assignment, us fulfilling our calling, us leading by example, us being people of good habits, trying our best. And I'm not saying here, let's be perfect. But what I'm saying is that if we don't take ourselves seriously, we will find ourselves outmatched, and we will not be able to fulfill the call that is upon our lives. So there are two things that I'd like to talk about quickly. If you are there, guys, just type something. Just let me know you're out there. We are talking here about taking yourself seriously. And one of the things that I think concerns me is the issue of inactivity. The fact that we can, wickedness prevails when good people sit and do nothing. Those lepers who decided that we are not going to sit here and die, they became game changers because they took themselves seriously, even though everybody else wasn't taking them seriously. And at times, people will not take you seriously. There are people that will undermine you, maybe because of the fact of where you come from, how you look. Sometimes you will come into spaces and you will be an underdog. You will feel like you're an underdog. But today, I think one difficult conversation that we need to have is one of saying, I'm not going to sit and do nothing and watch the world spiral out of control, watch my kids spiral out of control, watch my life spiral out of control. I was just teaching a class right now, and I said to my students right now to say, you've got a choice to live your life thinking life ifana namadai, sometimes you grab, sometimes you pop, and you leave it there. Or you can decide to say, I'm going to do something about this life thing. Even if life gives me crap or it gives me pop, I'm going to do something about what life is throwing at me. So what is life throwing at you today? What are the hard things that are very difficult that you must not sit down and watch life do that to you? You have a choice to live your life taking punches or to punch back and to make up your mind to say, I'm not going to sit here and watch life do this to me. So the challenge is inactivity. One of the things that is problematic is doing nothing, sitting and praying in most cases, and afterwards doing nothing. You pray for a job, but you don't have a CV. What are the steps that you are taking in the direction of what you are trusting God for, in the direction of your calling and your purpose in life? Sometimes this pen and paper is going to be of value in you becoming that great person. So, when you sit with a doctor, one of the things they will often say when you get sick is to say, and ask you, they will ask you this question to say, what are you doing? What do you do? What kind of lifestyle do you have? And this is a very, very key question, because in most cases, our lives get sick because we are inactive. We don't move our bodies. We don't exercise. There isn't much we do. Even in our faith life, in our spiritual life, if our faith is not exercised, you get what I'm saying? Because faith without works is dead. So if our faith is not exercised, we are not going to see the results that we want in life. If we are not going to press in to our convictions and our beliefs, if we are not going to try anything, we are not going to see results. So take action. Take action. Sit down, plan, take action, think through things. Don't be caught napping, because we live in a time of great acceleration, great momentum. Things are happening fast. You look at where the world is in terms of artificial intelligence. There's new learning models that are out there, that are now beginning to command a lot of respect. You look at Chat GPT, GPT-4, all these apps. I mean, when you go now and look at how many companies have developed apps that are of artificial intelligence and that are, talking to chat, you can see the world is moving at a very fast pace. And my greatest concern with us is that we are too slow. We are too slow. We are too disinterested. We don't have the curiosity that is needed for us to make any form of impact. What really concerned me, for example, was how we got so caught up. Most of us didn't even know how 5G worked, but a lot of us were already shooting it down without sitting and studying what is 5G. And a lot of us were, and what's funny is that already when we were beginning to talk about 5G, China was already talking 6G. You see what I'm saying? We should not be functioning at a slow pace as children of God. When you look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel, these are champions, man. These are men that came into a Babylonic system and mastered it. They came in and they mastered that system and they turned it upside down. They were able to manage it and control it. And I think for a lot of us, we seek to control and to manage what we do not understand. And until we come to a point where we understand how some of these technologies work, how some of these things work, we cannot master the moment. We cannot control what is happening. We cannot even manage it. And we can see now, I mean, you look at the current one that's called GPT-4, right? It's a language model that is being used, right? It's artificial intelligence. So you ask it questions and it does what you've asked for. A lot of us don't understand that now they were busy discussing it recently, and it's only been 2 weeks that it's been out. They were busy discussing it, and they're saying it actually passes law exams. It passes medical exams. You know, this is an artificial intelligence tool that is out there, that is now competing with human beings. And that gets me thinking to say, if we are going to master the moment as Christians, if we are going to step up, we are going to have to stop being inactive and sitting and criticizing what we do not understand. If we are going to manage it and control it, we must understand it. I mean, I always crack up when I think about this. My sister got married in 94. And in our church, I come from a very conservative church. Now it's better. But when I was growing up, it was very, very strict. And my sister's wedding was one of the first ones where they had a full musical band, where they had a worship team, they had a guitar player, they had a drummer, and they had, what else? A keyboard player. And some of the elders in our church were so offended. They were like, what is going on here? You know, but it's so sad that the children of the world seem to be understanding the importance of mastering technologies, mastering moments, mastering times, more than we, the people that are saying we are creatives and we are created in God's image. And these are things that we should be on top of, understanding. Thank you so much, Mfundisi Nixon. Thank you for joining. So we are talking today about taking ourselves very seriously, to say, you know, if we understood what is happening in the world at the moment, if we understood, I mean, I was reading this other article, and we are talking fourth industrial revolution. There are some researchers that are already talking fifth industrial revolution. Think about that. To say we are still caught up talking about fourth industrial revolution. Some of us don't even know what the fourth industrial revolution is. And yet we want to master what is going on. We want to understand the powers of the air. We want to manage it, and we can't manage it. We need to reach that space where we master it so that we can control it. And that's going to require us to be studious and to be learners and to be people that learn and understand things. Yesterday, I was listening to this gentleman. He's a professor, John Lennox, and he was talking about Christianity and the artificial intelligence. And, you know, one of the things he was discussing was in the following. He said, artificial intelligence is not going away. And it's going to infringe on us, and it's going to keep coming at us for the longest time until we understand that we have something that artificial intelligence doesn't have. At the moment, artificial intelligence now can create things. Machines can learn. It's called machine learning. Last year, UJ created its first house, okay, using technology, okay. It's called 3D printing. So they did that. This is the University of Johannesburg. We are dealing with that. And I was challenging the guys that build in our church to say to them, you got to learn these tools, man. We have to learn these tools. If we are going to step up, if we are not going to be annihilated by these things, because you look at how people are now using drones as weapons. He doesn't have to be there in order for him to send a bomb somewhere. And these are things that I believe we must begin to grapple with and begin to position them as well scripturally as to where they belong in terms of biblical taxonomy, in terms of what the Bible teaches us. So our inactivity, whether it's lack of evangelism, lack of teaching, lack of reading, lack of understanding, is costing the body of Christ. It's costing us as Christians because we cannot engage in intelligent conversation. We cannot challenge some of these guys when they come up with whatever they come up with. We cannot raise ethical concerns that we have about the extent to which things are going. At some point, we never thought we'd find ourselves where we are, where machines. I mean, I was at a hotel in Sandton, and I was greeted by a robot. A robot just came to me and greeted, and it held a conversation. So that's the world that we are in. And I think our slackness, which is the second thing. So inactivity, just doing nothing, slackness, being slow, is costing us. You know, Ecclesiastes 11 talks about how you should not let your hands go slack. In other words, don't be slow or too slow to a point where you are struggling to manage the change that is out there. Plan, man. Get your hands touching on things that are different. You know, one of the things I admire about my bishop is his decision to read what others don't read. And I think for me, that's one of the things that has gotten me really, really studious, you know, and curious about learning how the world operates and how things go. It's in us understanding that you will never be outstanding if all you do is what everybody else does. You will never be outstanding if what you do is what everybody else does. Ecclesiastes 11, is it verse 12? Yeah, thank you, sir. It says, do not have your hands slack. Do not let your hands go slack. And I think for me, that said to me, man, we need to be on top of our game. Whatever that you are called to in life, you've got to be on top of your game. In other words, know what is the recent, know what is the current, get curious, sit down and ask those difficult questions, you know. And I think we at times we are not taking ourselves as seriously, but Percy. And that is why the world is annihilating us. The world is bamboozling us. Technology has gone so advanced, and yet many of us are so behind. And, you know, one thing we don't understand as well as Christians is this. Computers and you know, quantum computing, all these things, artificial intelligence, they can do what we can do. And almost everything that we do now, they are able to do. Everything. But the one thing they cannot do is connect with God. And we as Christians, I believe we could do better in understanding our role in reintroducing supernatural intelligence. The intelligence coming from God that can totally master artificial intelligence and robots and whatever, this transhuman agenda that we are seeing all of a sudden. Because now when you look at somebody like Elon Musk is now working on technology that you can use to put in your brain so that you basically become superhuman. That's technology that he's working on now. He's already worked on the issue of going to the moon. These are the issues of our time. And I do feel that sometimes we are not engaging with these things. And because we are not engaging with these things, we are far behind. And as a result, the people that live in the now are failing to connect with the message we are presenting. Where does God fit in all this artificial intelligence? Where does God fit in this world that is changing, that's annihilating our jobs? Those are things we need to think about. But the biggest takeaway is don't let your hands go slack. Take agency. But Percy says, we as Christians are so ignorant by choice. And that is so true. We lack knowledge. We lack knowledge. And you know what concerns me as well, but Percy, is the fact that when I was growing up, we were not encouraged to read much. We were not encouraged to get involved in the world. And as a result, when you get the opportunity to go to the world, it gets so confusing. And we don't understand that God has given us these hands and these brains and this faith so that we can go out there and make a difference and challenge some of the stuff that's going on. You can't challenge what you don't understand, you know? So we need to ideate. We need to think through things. We need to plan, and we need to trust God, because what supernatural intelligence does is it gives you God ideas. Right? So one thing I think as well that we need to start doing is we need to stop playing along. Because, you know, you look at our phones, you know, and I was saying this yesterday to say our phones are surveillance gadgets. They are surveillance gadgets. They are the big brother that we have. As long as you are on Wi-Fi, the phone is listening to every single thing you are saying. And we need to stop playing along with some of these things and begin to master them and begin to set limits on them. Begin to say, I am in control. And I'm not going to allow this and that to control what I do and how I do it. So in some cases, I do feel like we are playing along. You know, one of the things that is used is algorithms. These phones seem to know what we want. And as a result, they take up so much of our time. We find ourselves so immersed. Sometimes you should just let your phone deplete. If you know that you are struggling with your phone, you can't get it off your hands, and you know you need the peace of mind, because we are humans. We need to connect with nature, not our phones. And there is that contestation between God, between nature, between technology, between all these things, you know, that are out there. And sometimes you just need to say, you know what, I'm not going to charge my phone. I just want to think. I want to breathe. I'm not going to watch TV. I just want to think. I want to breathe. Because a lot of us are not getting supernatural intelligence, because supernatural intelligence comes through prayer, comes through meditation. You know what I'm saying? And the only way we are going to really give a formidable battle is by us reconnecting with supernatural intelligence, because artificial intelligence is doing the most at the moment. It's wiping out jobs. It's doing all of this. We are going to have to think clear above it. So we need to do things differently and make a decision to live our lives differently. Artificial intelligence and machine learning must be understood and mastered. We need to once again have a godly agenda to our lives, because the truth is the world is going to get overwhelmed with all these things going on. So a godly agenda cannot be realized if we have no clue what is going on in the world. We need to set the pace as Christians. And it was so amazing for me to sit and listen to Professor John Lennox teaching on artificial intelligence, an old man, and he's a Christian, and he was talking about all these things and how they connect to the Bible, and I was shocked. I'm like, wow, man, this is what we need right now. This is what we need, because if a Professor John Lennox sits with an Elon Musk, there will be some serious questions asked. You know, so machines, the truth is machines are taking over jobs. And if we are only going to rely on our own intelligence, we are not going to make it. We are going to need a lot of supernatural intelligence in order to get by. So I was attending this other workshop, and one of the key questions that was asked at the workshop, and it was on leadership and artificial intelligence on the fourth industrial revolution. And what this Christian lady was saying, Cheryl, I forget her full name. She said, fourth industrial revolution is here to stay. Machine learning is here to stay. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. Learning models are here to stay. Learning language models are here to stay. Software that chats with you is here to stay. What are you going to do about it? And I think that's what I want to close this session with today. To say all these things are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. They are going to stay with us. And my advice for us is we need to do something. We need to learn new skills and new tricks if we are going to succeed. The world is moving at a very fast pace, and I do sometimes feel that we are too slow, and we need to take ourselves seriously and understand what God has given us. Mfundisi says, Mpho says, Moruti, I think we as Christians are stereotypes. We are lazy to research and find information. That is true. We rely on what pastors tell us, and that's not enough. That's not enough. You know, the Bible teaches about the Bereans, and it says that the Bereans would listen to the sermon and they would go and research on what this person has preached. So our faith is a learning faith. Our faith is a learning faith. We need to have this thing called lifelong learning as Christians, where we learn and learn and learn and learn, because that's what makes us people that are irreplaceable. In other words, we become a dominant force. But if we've got nothing intelligent to say, if we've got nothing to contribute in such a time where so many things are not going well, then I think we are really preparing ourselves for failure, because we become the very same people that become, how can I put this, angry at God to say, why is my life not moving on? And God says, but I gave you a brain, I gave you faith, I gave you hope, I gave you lessons, I gave you teachers, and you didn't learn. All you did was to be comfortable where you are. And I think for us, it's that time now for us to step out of our comfort zone and to get into the courage zone, where we begin to stretch ourselves out and begin to reach out for what we can best do. So that's what I wanted to share with us today. I hope you got something out of this and that we had a meaningful session. I'm not sure if you want to ask anything, but I was greatly challenged to say we need to step up. We need to step up and take ourselves seriously. If David doesn't arise, Israel is going to be ruined, because Goliath is going to destroy the whole thing. If we don't understand the opportunity of us building technologies and understanding what's going on in the world, we are going to be stuck. Pastor Nixon says, like the sons of Issachar, we need to understand the times. That is so true. I'm so greatly challenged at the moment to say, I cannot be complaining. I cannot be complaining as a Christian with what is going on, and yet I sit and I do nothing. There isn't much that I do. So for me, I think we need to master our callings in life. We need to begin to investigate what is going on out there. Think about this thing. The spies had to go into the promised land and to go investigate what was going on, so that they could make informed decisions about what needed to happen from thence forward. They needed to come bring evidence and reports and so on. So if none of us even have that in our hearts to say, what's going on with this 4IR thing? What's going on with transhumanism? What's going on with machine learning? What's going on with chat this and chat that? What's going on with all these technologies? What's going on with virtual reality? What's going on with augmented reality? What's going on with space travel? You know, if we don't ask ourselves that question, we are going to be left behind, and we are and I think we are going to struggle to cope. I always believe that Christians have a response to everything. God has given us the faculty to believe and to think, and we ought to be responding to what's going on. There are scientists out there creating robots that have no ethics. and the scientists themselves have no ethics. As a result, they do whatever. And if we as Christians are not in that space, we won't be able to give a formidable fight. If we are not in policy making, if we are not involved in all those areas, we are going to be caught napping. And I think it's going to be very problematic for us. We need to be able to provide answers. So I was greatly challenged to say we need to take ourselves seriously. We ought to wake up and take ourselves seriously and realize what is at stake here. Our children, our children's children, our future. Because looking at how transhumanism is working out, some of these scientists are now working on creating cyborgs, half human and half robot. And even, I mean, there's somebody that was saying yesterday, there are some people who have asked for their brains to be frozen because they believe that one day human beings will be able to create an object that will be able to make those brains come back to life. So that's the world that we live in. Hey? We live in that kind of world. And sometimes I do feel that we are slow, man. We are not catching the drift. And thus we can't engage in these very serious conversations about ethics, about faith, about science, about God, about theology. So that was my thought. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it. I'd really appreciate that. God bless you. Thank you.